Shedeur, we not taking a shot at you, Prime. Nobody's taking a shot at you. We actually took a picture at the East West
Yes, we
when you
sure
came,
did.
and you weren't able to participate there.
Yeah.
Nothing but love for Shedeur.
Correct.
Wish him all the best. Do I think that him not participating impacted his draft stock?
Dak Prescott had an agent a few years back.
My experience at the Combine, we like to talk about the path to the draft.
You're rocking the Texas Sports Media Outlet with Texas
Host Don Davis of Don Davis Realty Group at Douglas Elliman Real Estate. Very honored to have in the studio today none other than Mike Harris with Prototype Sports. Mike Harris, welcome to the Texas Sports Media Outlet Podcast. I mean, it's a privilege to have you here. I know you've been doing a lot of traveling lately from New York to Chicago to Indiana. How was the Combine? Kind of share some feedback on what you got to experience this year. I know it's not your first year, but you go all the time. What did you get to experience this year, and kind of walk us through the Combine and what an athlete does from the last college football game until the Combine?
First and foremost, I want to thank you for having me here on the show. Definitely a blessing to be here, have an opportunity to get on the show. That question is going to be different for every athlete. My experience at the Combine, we like to talk about the path to the draft. The path to the draft is going to be different for every athlete. From the day that the season ends, that could be Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
If the season ends at Thanksgiving, a lot of other teams still have a lot of football that's remaining. So that player whose season ends at Thanksgiving, I mean, it would behoove them to go ahead, if they haven't already, started researching agencies out there that can help with representation. Also continue to train and make sure that they got their body together, make sure that their mental is together, and just start looking at kind of what their individual path to the draft is going to look like and what they need to start preparing for. Because once January rolls around, it's going to really start moving at the speed of light for every athlete. My experience at the Combine this year was very impactful. And I say that because this was year 2 for me.
Correct.
I didn't make the Combine in 2024. So this is year 3 in terms of me being a certified contract advisor. But last year at the Combine, it was sort of an intro. I didn't really know what to expect outside of the things that I had experienced at the other All-Star games and some of the other professional events. This year, I was a little bit more prepared getting out there to be able to have myself in a position where my number one thing that I live by, image is everything. I wanted to make sure that my image was on, that
Correct.
I had the right outfits for the different places and places I be and the people that I see. So branding is all good, but I wanted to make sure that, I displayed a professional image at most times outside of when I was at the Combine. But yeah, one of the sportscasters got on ESPN and he kind of gave a full rundown of what everybody should expect at the Combine from agents, from coaches, GMs, and players. And essentially, typically, players are getting there around Monday or Tuesday in a lot of cases. They're getting there and the medical is getting checked right away. So with medical being checked right away, the actual on-field drills don't start until Thursday. So on Thursday, you had defensive linemen and linebackers. On Friday, you had defensive backs and tight ends. On Saturday, you had quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs. Then on Sunday, after I was already out, you had offensive linemen.
Now, let me interrupt a little bit because you're going deep fast. So I want to really understand, sir. You said some a minute ago. You said certified contract advisor. I know a lot of people are in the NIL and things like that, but everybody out there is not a certified contract advisor. Is that correct?
Absolutely. At last count, you had 1,068 certified NFL contract advisors, meaning that those contract advisors are licensed and certified to represent someone that is pursuing the NFL or is currently in the NFL looking to sign a contract extension or sign a free agent deal.
And then you and I, we worked in real estate before, so you can understand how this transitions into what I'm looking at. There's actually people who are wholesalers out there, almost seem like on the football side, people who are not actually licensed versus you guys who are actually licensed, insured, certified by the NFLPA. So it's a total difference than somebody saying, "Hey man, I can get you a bag.
Right.
you know a lot more of what it goes into, not only from the player side, but also from the GM side as well. So elaborate on that, on the importance of. Matter of fact, Steve Sarkisian right here in University of Texas said he doesn't want to talk to anybody who is not an agent. So elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, I did watch that clip. I thought that clip was kind of funny. Not to discredit any of the men or women out there that are NIL agents or marketing agents, as we would also call them. There's space and opportunity for everybody out there, right? I think, however, when you're looking at a situation where you have, in most cases, one opportunity. Most of these young men and women that's looking to become professional athletes, they only got one opportunity.
Correct.
You have to, I guess, decide earlier in the process, kind of what that looks like for you. Are you more interested in taking advantage of NIL opportunities and marketing opportunities to try to run a bag up while you're in college or while you potentially completing your high school career? Are you more interested in focusing on somebody who does have more experience that can kind of give you more insight and help guide you through the path to the draft, or a little bit of both?
More long term. And I'm running into that because they're talking about schools poaching each other's athletes. I'm also noticing that you guys face that as well, where somebody will try to take your athletes. Do you run into that from time to time as an agent?
Sure. You have, in the history of agentry, you have always had competition.
Correct.
And within competition, sometimes it's a friendly competition, and at other times it's more of a sour taste because you have players that have been with an agent for a long period of time in some cases, and another agent comes in, whether it's a money grab, whether he's offering the player and his father collectively $500,000 just to sign with him because he know he's getting ready to go get him $100 million deal from the Dolphins, or whether it's something where ethically, everything was done right, but the better man just won. There was something that happened at the previous agency that the player just wasn't quite satisfied or didn't feel great about moving forward, and he decided to look for better representation or different representation. So the competition aspect is always there. It's funny that you bring this topic up because at the Combine, we just had an NIL symposium, and within that symposium, there were two panels, and there was a break in between the two panels. And each panel consisted of 3 GMs for major college programs, as well as 3 agents. Okay. And that was, panel 1 as well as panel 2. And some of these topics came up in terms of competing agents and how do you, I guess, go about like when that happens, do you approach it angry? Do you have a confrontation with that agent, or do you just kind of recognize it as part of the game? And my standpoint is it's part of the game. I had a situation where I was in Indianapolis for the first preseason game, and my client came out after the game, and I was talking to my client, and another agent approached my client right there on the spot, not understanding that I'm the agent. And so really quickly, I was able to kind of just have a quick conversation with him and come to find out that this particular agent not only lives in my state, in my city, but in my neighborhood. Wow, and since then, we've kind of gotten together and we call each other, and we,
so you did it peacefully.
We're more working together. So it can go both ways.
Yeah, and I saw that there are repercussions. I think Dak Prescott had an agent a few years back who faced some controversy because he was trying to take clients from an agency. I think he was working for an agency, went on his own. And at that point, I know that waters can get muddy because you don't know if those players stay with the agency or did they belong to the agent that was working for them at that time. I do also see, like you say, that you have to start at the NFL's level preparing for that combine. You mentioned going all the way back to November. Some people got prepared early. Some people were picking their agents at that time. But then also part of the selection process for the combine. Can you elaborate that? Because I know there's a lot of athletes who thought they were going to get called to go to the combine, but they didn't even get called to go to the combine.
So, it's typically going to have north of 300 players that are going to get selected and invited to the combine. Now, some of those guys may opt to not participate, and so there's also going to be, some backups, for lack of a better term, some reserves, as we like to call it. But you got to think about it. You're getting a pretty good indication throughout the season because the East-West Shrine Bowl now has a top 1,000 watch list. So if you're on that watch list, then okay, well, at least I'm potentially in the top 1,000 players in the country. If 3
Mm-hmm.
300 plus are going to go to the combine, and that's about a third of the players. The Senior Bowl now has a top 300 player criteria, even though they only select 130 or so players for the Senior Bowl. So that's the other thing. Okay, if I'm on that Senior Bowl list, then it's a pretty good chance that I'm getting invited to the combine, because Senior Bowl is going to typically have, first through fifth round graded guys. But yeah, the invites typically go out in January. I think that as a player, I got to kind of be honest with myself. I got to be, hopefully I got some people in my corner that are transparent with me throughout this process. Hopefully now that NIL is involved, I've already started seeking some representation. So that representation who's in tune with the college programs, who's in tune with the scouts, with the coaches, with the GMs, maybe potentially that agent or that agency can give me some insight and let me know what to expect. Hey,
And it's funny you mentioned that, because I know a couple years ago with Shedeur Sanders, he was told to go to the bowl games but not participate, go to the combine but not participate. Do you think that might have impacted his draft status? Because I understand sometimes the combine makes some players slide, or they call slide down, and some players go up, and some players stay the same. If you take Shedeur out of the equate, well, give me your feedback on the Shedeur situation first, and then any other player that you saw. Well, I can throw a player in there that I know showed out in the combine. Taylor Green showed out. His draft stock went up. Do you feel like some people slide and some people go up? And what do you think really happened on the Shedeur Sanders situation?
Yeah. Well, these podcasts and these reels, they get chopped up, remixed. So before that happens, I want to make sure, Shedeur, we not taking a shot at you, Prime. Nobody's taking a shot at you. We actually took a picture at the East West when you came, and you weren't able to participate there. None but love for Shedeur. Wish him all the best. Do I think that him not participating impacted his draft stock? I do think that was a partial factor.
Okay.
Prior to having some of the conversations that I had at the NFL Combine this past week, I thought it was a little bit more of a factor of him not participating. But from what I've heard, there's some other things that are kind of being kept under the radar in terms of the actual owners and GMs, because from what the scout told me is that everybody had him as a first or a second round grade. But by the time we get to the combine, it's out of the scouts' hands. They've done their research. They've let the coaches and GMs and owners know kind of what their thoughts are on the players that they should bring in, but it's out of their hands. And so, from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of things that they really not talking about in terms of things that might have been a little bit more detrimental to it than the average person thought. But I mean, I couldn't help but sit there with you, and we sat side by side at the combine, and when the attention should have been on guys running the 40, I mean, Shedeur was out shining, blinking. People were taking pictures and calling his name.
Scatterbo. It was Scatterbo too.
And Scatterbo too. So,
Scatterbo too. Yeah. But so and we know the combine is important for measurable statistics, power, strength, assessing your mental, just finding out who you overall is as a person. But then I think the Hail Mary for athletes is when they come to the school and do the pro days. Have you seen athletes also get a better draft score based on a pro day?
Sure. It's not like it was back in the day. From what I understand, there was always that hidden gem.
Yeah.
There was always somebody that nobody ever heard about, that you went to the pro day to look at a guy that might be a top graded guy, and you say, well, who the hell is this guy?
Exactly.
Like, no, that doesn't really happen anymore. Now, what does happen is a player might have been injured. A player might have been in a situation where, politics got involved with the college program. He didn't see as much playing time as he should have saw. And once we get to the combine, they know about him, but they didn't know he was going to perform as well. And so if you look at the numbers, you got 259 guys that are going to be drafted, essentially about 400 plus guys that are going to be signed to undrafted free agent contracts. And out of those 400 guys or so, about 135 of those guys are actually going to make an NFL roster when they do roster cuts down to 53. So there are some guys out there that's going to get some opportunities that's not being talked about right now. So we just got to kind of see how it plays out. I'm sure there'll be some
Yeah.
good coverage at each of those pro days.
And we have, as you know, we already have athletes that are already in the league and that we've talked to and are good friends with. So I can kind of walk the audience through the whole process of that year. I know Jalen Milroe played football literally from August of 2024, August, then he went all the way to the playoffs, to January, then he did combine preparation, February, then pro day right around March or April, then had to be at mini camp right at end of May, beginning of May, June, July, then came all the way back around to the Super Bowl in February. He's finally getting to take some time off, spend time with his family, give back to the community. But that just gives you an idea. If you do get drafted and you are coming from a team that goes to the playoffs, the longevity of that first year, it's a grind. And you got to be mentally prepared, your body, your mind, for that victory lap, as Nipsey Hussle calls that victory lap. People
Sure.
think that last year is harder, but that last year is easier, but it actually can be harder, like you say, determining whether your team goes to a bowl game or the playoffs or not. Those Indiana running backs, same thing with those guys. I think his name's Kobe Black, something like that. He just got through playing football, but now he's right back at it again. He was in that Senior Bowl, right back at it again in the combine, and now he's gonna do another victory lap. So you were saying that at that time you should know exactly what agency you're going with, what trainers you're going with to get prepared for the combine. I know Real Truth out in Dallas is where I met a lot of athletes, Genty and some other guys who I know, Tyson, Jordan Tyson. We got Anthony Hill. We got a lot of people going out there getting ready, and my boy Justin Allen too out in Houston. And then you got my boy KB. You know, we got boys everywhere. We got boys everywhere.
No
But I'm
shortage.
hearing about an OG out of Miami as well that does combine preparation. That's really well. I forget his name. It's an Italian name. But when it comes to that, where do you see yourself now as Prototype Sports? Where do you see yourself in the next 2 or 3 years, and the importance of what it takes? I was looking at some of the NFL agents I've seen before. It took about 9 years for them to really take off. I think we're in a more technical, with Chat GPT, AI, and things like that. I think things can happen quicker now. And then I also think we're in a different era of athletes to where the average, last time we went to the combine, we went to, I forgot whose party it was, Edgar and James or something like that. But we noticed the average age of the NFL coaches was about 45 years old now.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect time for younger agents. And how do you see that transition going from the older agents, the bus cooks and things like that, to people like yourself?
Sure. I mean, I think I'm at a perfect stage of my life and my professional career to not only have entered into agentry a few years ago, but I take that back because I haven't just entered into agentry. I've been a real estate agent for over a decade, and agentry is agentry.
And you were also with the Houston Rockets.
Also with the Houston Rockets. So, I've been in the sports industry for over 15 years, been a real estate agent and in real estate for over a decade. Agentry is agentry, right? A professional is a professional. There were guys that I saw at the combine that were much younger than me that have clients that,
Correct.
Whether that's NFL clients, whether those are college players on NIL deals. And then obviously, you have agents that are much older than me where you're like, damn, when is he gonna hang it up? And open up the doors for myself.
But do you also feel like, and this is what I had to do on the real estate agency side, because we have Instagram realtors, and then we also have some realtors who think they're lawyers. How do you fit in? You were talking about some younger agents who are now agents because they think they're cool. They think it's like a rap label. And then now you got some older guys who are just networking with the good old boy system with the NFL GMs. How do you fit in? How are you a hybrid? How can you reach young athletes in every position from every market? And how do you feel like your other careers have prepared you for that?
Yeah. Business is about value.
Correct.
So my standpoint, what value am I bringing and what value can I obtain to represent? Because at the end of the day, agents don't really make a player improve their draft stock by any kind of gimmick or anything like that. There's the relationship aspect of it, but even that only takes you so far. I mean, a lot of these guys' jobs are on the line if they don't choose the right player. So I can have the best relationship in the world with a coach or a GM, but if he's not the right fit for that particular program or that club, more than likely that relationship is not going to trump the value aspect of it. So, where I've got to come in and win is really showing my value, showing what other things can I do outside of the NFL draft. What things can the prototype help out that are going to make you more marketable? What things can we do to help make sure that we catch things on the front end instead of the back end if we're talking about potential liabilities for the NFL draft? Because that was the $1 million topic at the combine was, hey, we want talent. We want the guys that are going to be the valuable guys, the top guys, but we also want to make sure that everything check out.
And so how do you separate trying to get them what they're looking for without them taking advantage of your client? Like Mulligetta was saying, hey, Jerry Jones, I know you want Michael Parsons, but you're not going to take advantage of Michael Parsons. How do you make sure that you do right by the athlete, even though the organization, you're friends with the organization, but your client is the athlete.
Well, that's why it's the NFL Players Association.
Okay.
Emphasis on players.
I got you.
I'm a part of the NFL Players Association. Every player is a part of the NFL Players Association. We got people at the headquarters in Washington, D.C. and in New York. Well, NFL headquarters is in New York.
Correct.
But, yeah, I represent the player. And my best interest, that player's best interest is always going to be my fiduciary duty to represent. Now, don't get me wrong. You want to make sure that you establish and maintain these relationships and continue to build the relationships with the decision makers.
Correct.
I don't want to go in and come and tell you that my guy is something that you don't think he is and get into an argument and damage my relationship. But I got to go fight tooth and nails to make sure that I maximize his value with everything that I can do. I make sure we don't leave anything on the table, and I put him in the best position to succeed.
And you make me think of a question. So can a GM be a former NFL agent?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay, so they know both sides. They know they know the contract, just like you guys know the contract.
Sure.
And now, when you see that at the college level, at the Power 4 level, what are you running into in that aspect? Is it becoming just like the NFL? And will there be a college football players association at one point or something like that? Have you heard anything in that regard?
Well, that was part of the topics that we talked about on the panel at the combine. I don't see it happening anytime soon because from what we talked about is the NCAA got to get their stuff together first.
Exactly.
So how are you going to regulate players and regulate agencies when we don't even know year to year when the transfer portal is until 2 months before the transfer portal actually opens up? We don't know any of the details of that. We don't know. How can we have a code of conduct when we don't even have regulation for many other things within the sport? So do I see there being some things implemented? Like this year you had NIL Go implemented. Anytime a player signed an athletic scholarship agreement with a school, if there were outside NIL agreements that they got, you had to go into the system and report it. And not only report it, they have a vetting system that's headed by Deloitte, which vets a lot of the government stuff out of Washington. They're actually going through contract by contract or opportunity by opportunity and saying, okay, this one checks the box, we approve it. This one doesn't. Many of the NIL opportunities got approved, but there were a lot of them that didn't get approved. So, I see things coming and going, but it's kind of like being in the kitchen right now and not really following the recipe and saying, okay, well, let me try to put a little paprika in here this time. Next time, I'm going to put a little pepper in it. I might put a little citrus in it. Just kind of see what works. Throwing spaghetti against the wall right now is really what's happening.
And another thing that's coming into the sneaking in there, because I do have 3 Division I college football athletes in my household. Another thing that's sneaking in people don't realize about is that they're now offering players advances. So there's a third-party company. If they find out you're getting $100,000 NIL over the next 2 or 3 years, they'll go ahead and give you $35,000 today.
Yeah.
And so these young athletes, they say, "Oh man, $35,000 today. I can go give me that. I'm gonna give me that new car."
Right.
And they don't realize they're giving up $65,000 signing a payday loan. So it is the wild west. But I think also what you're talking about as far as the regulation, another thing that impacts it is the NCAA and NFL are technically becoming competitors. because you're starting to see more tickets being sold at some of these major college football games than some NFL games. Not all NFL markets, but some college football games bring in more fans than some of the NFL. So they're trying to copy the NFL, but trying to also do better than the NFL because the NFL is technically their competition.
I think you really hitting on something right
Yeah.
there. I mean, that topic has come up as well.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the game. You
Yeah.
have guys that were previously declaring early, and people were saying, "Hey, he came out too fast."
He
Now
can
you
stay
got
an extra
guys
year.
that are first, second round graded guys that are saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go back to school, get this million or 2,
Uh-huh.
and deal with the NFL later on down the line." And so
they could be a fourth round draft pick or stay another year and get 1.5 in college.
right.
Yeah, some certain quarterbacks and things like that. Now let's talk about that real quick. Draft ratings, Blesto list, and how you see if somebody's going to be through third round or fourth through fifth. How do you tell an athlete, hey man, it's not time yet, or hey, I go ahead and go to the draft, or hey man, you need to go stay another year. What all goes into factor with that for you?
So that's all a part of like trusting your agent, trusting your representation. Like we have to be transparent when it doesn't do anybody any good. Myself, the player, the family, anybody, if we're not being transparent about
Correct.
this, because why would I tell you that you're gonna be a third round pick and you go undrafted, and then I get bad feedback
Exactly.
and you know, now my reputation is at stake, and as that happens multiple times, you know, that word starts to get out, and
Yeah.
what's that old saying? You know, the lie is more entertaining than the truth. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, that transparency is going to be a big part of it. The way that my approach and most agencies' approach to grading a player or finding out, okay, is this somebody that has value that fits with the agency, somebody that I feel like I can work with and potentially invest in, and in time, money, resources, and get behind this player with their potential of going to the draft. You have two things. You have what you mentioned, the Blesto report,
Uh-huh.
and what that is I forget the exact. Blesto is capital letters.
It's acronym.
It's an acronym for
Yeah.
something, but there's half of the teams in the league have a Blesto scout.
Exactly.
So every team has scouts that go to the colleges, and they have regional scouts. They have, so you got a Southeastern scout that all he's gonna do is
Correct.
go and scout the players at Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, Northeast scout, etc. Then you got your pro scouts. And within all of those scouts, you have a Blesto scout. And that
Yeah.
Blesto scout is going to grade all of the guys that at the end of that junior season, or potentially at the end of the sophomore season, if they redshirted a year, they're going out to grade those guys. They're getting the 40 time. They're measuring their hands, their arms, their vertical, everything that you would see be measured at the combine or at the pro day. So that's part of it. And then the other half of the teams have what you call an NFS scout, National Football Scout.
Yeah.
So between those two scouting services, there's two reports. Each of those reports has a grade. They're graded a little bit different. The reports look a little different, but at the end of the day, they are going to tell you, hey, who are the guys that are widely considered as top graded guys? Who are the guys that are mid to late round guys? And who are the guys that are what we like to call high priority free agents?
And
I-
that translates to the lower level because that's what rivals and Under Armour camps are at the high school level. Your rivals camp, your Under Armour camp, then your FBU. So basically, at the 7th grade time frame nowadays, you are on track from 7th grade. Let's just say 7th grade now, 12 years old to possibly 32 years old. You're in a system between your huddle, your transcript. Basically, it's a football transcript. So it's 20 years of activity on that body like a Carfax to determine, okay, is this athlete progressing along? But as you were talking about, sometimes the ratings can be opinionated. And by them being opinionated, I witnessed what we call copycat recruiting. So if Mike said they're good, instead of Mike went out there and visited the family. He saw the kid play. Well, instead, I'm on lazy recruit. I'm just going to find, Mike Harris, he always got good athletes. So I'm going to use Mike's evaluation. And I'm seeing that happen at the pro level now. I know another league who said basically what they do is all they would do is wait for NFL players to get cut, and then they go in and swoop them in. I'm seeing big time NFL agents who wait for the second contract after they see that you've done all the legwork and they swoop them on that fourth year at the free agency year. So I think we have a lot of analytics now and things like that to make the recruiting better.
Sure.
But the problem with that is you end up using Chat GPT for your assignment, AI for your assignment, instead of actually doing the scouting legwork yourself. So I think that's what the difference is. We're growing a company like Prototype versus some of your larger firms who have to vote on a player versus old school recruiting, that knowing the family and basically getting to know the person as a person, not only physically but mentally as well.
Right, right. You know, if it's done right, it's a long-term process.
Correct.
If it's done right, especially with NIL involved now, you've potentially been looking at that player since 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade.
Exactly.
Or at least early into their college career. So by the time the draft rolls around, there's already some familiarity. There's already a certain level of comfort with working with this player. And if those discussions have had to happen with the board, then the board is already kind of made the decision on whether they're gonna move forward with them. But it's all a crapshoot, man.
Gotcha.
What I will say is that the NFL has gotten a lot like NBA, where NBA drafted off potential. The NFL is looking for speed,
Upside.
and so
speed.
a lot of the things that they've done and got tested on the metrics prior to the season that go into the Blesto and the NFS reports is mainly dealing with speed and potential.
Correct. Length and speed and potential upside.
The eye test, height, weight, speed.
Correct, because that's what sells tickets. So once again, thank you for coming out, man. I'm looking forward to see Prototype Sports, what y'all do this year, April 25th, Pittsburgh, the NFL draft, and then also more to come as far as college football season. I know y'all are going to definitely be at all the high school, getting all the blue chip All-American high. Well, I say blue chip, that's old school. Five-star high school athletes that are looking to be recruited to Power 4. And then from Power 4 to the NFL. Once again, it's always a pleasure. Mike Harris, Prototype Sports, and Don Davis, Douglas Elliman Real Estate. When it's time to make a business decision about your home, it's a done deal. Mike, what's the Prototype slogan?
Oh man, you got more than just an athlete.
Yes,
more
sir.
than just an athlete. You know, we like I said, I'm honored to be on this episode today. If you need quality representation at any level, reach out to us. We'll take care of you.
Sports, Mike Harris.